Let's talk about the grief nobody brings a casserole for: estrangement. Every family has 2 stories, 3 stories, sometimes 10 stories. This is simply the story of what grief feels like from where I'm sitting. So let's talk about the experience. I'm not here to tell you who was right or wrong. I'm here because I discovered a kind of grief nobody warned me about. This is my experience, and I'm not here to level a verdict on anyone else. What do people do when their children become estranged? What happens when the parent's purpose in life was to be near and around them, and that isn't happening? You know, society has a greeting card for death, divorce, illness, retirement, funerals, etc. But there's almost nothing for the "my child is alive, but they're no longer part of my life." This is a unique kind of grief. You can't fix it because another adult decision and choices are involved. So many parents end up trapped between hope and loss. They often cycle through 4 painful questions. What did I do wrong? How do I fix this? Why doesn't my child remember the good things? Who am I now? Well, you were and are mom and dad. You were a provider, a protector, a cheerleader, a problem solver, their safe place. Society understands grief when someone dies, but it doesn't know what to do when someone is alive in absence. They often try to take sides. Try not to. So I will talk about my inside experience, not the outside events. I wasn't prepared for how quiet life would become, and the very role that defined your life has been taken away. Here's what you can do. You can grieve the relationship without making your entire identity the grief. Those are 2 different things. You do not have to pretend it doesn't hurt. You don't have to convince yourself their decisions are wonderful or right. You don't have to accept every accusation as truth. And you don't have to spend the rest of your life sitting in a rocking chair waiting for the phone to ring. Learn from the example of the prodigal son's father. He didn't chase him. He watched for him. He continued to love him. And when the son returned, the father then ran to him with forgiveness. Every family contains mistakes, misunderstandings, wounds, and the stories remembered quite differently. A mature parent can say, "I was imperfect, and in hindsight, I have regrets. There are things I would do differently, but I will not carry responsibility for choices that belong to another adult." Also, keep your life and perspective in line with the times and values that you grew up with. Some things were right at the time. A mature adult will say, "Mom, Dad, you were learning and did the best you could. I love you. I just can't be you. If I do things differently, it doesn't mean I don't love you or respect you." Truth is, your purpose was never to be needed forever. It was simply to love what God gave you to love and care for. Love always remains part of who you are, whether your children receive it or not. Your value is not reduced to the current level of access your adult children grant you. This is partly why I began building my podcast, Smashing 80. Part of me was searching for a place where the love, wisdom, humor, creativity, grief, and faith that once flowed primarily toward my children now still needs to flow somewhere. Because love needs somewhere to go. And when it has nowhere to go, it often turns inward and becomes sorrow. I don't want to live with sorrow. So I found an outlet and purpose, but it doesn't erase my grief. To be honest, a parent can miss their children every day for the rest of their life. But the parent should not stop living. It's a road most parents never imagined even existed till we found ourselves walking it. There are some losses in life that happened all at once. Diagnosis of cancer and the loss of my middle son, Eric. But this wasn't one of them. This happened with one unanswered call, one missed holiday, one changed tradition at a time. I've spent a lot of time replaying old conversations, wondering what I should have said differently, what I should have done differently, and what difference it might have made. You never know. Have you ever wished you could go back and re-edit your life the way we edit a video? Cut a sentence here and add a hug there. Remove a misunderstanding before it becomes a thing. Life changes, and there are things harder than being needed. It's being not needed. One of the hardest things about growing older is realizing some conversations don't have unlimited time. People die. At some point, you have to ask yourself a difficult question. If this situation never changes, are you still allowed to have a meaningful life? Of course you are. Some expect grandchildren, holidays, phone calls to continue. Life took a different path. Relationships became complicated. Some distance grew larger than geography. We can miss people and still live fully because our purpose is larger than just one role. Do we still have hope? Of course. Reconciliation is always possible, but purpose doesn't have to wait for reconciliation. There are still people to love you and embrace you. This all hurts, every bit of it. So that's why we need to talk about it, because nobody prepared you for the day that your children graduated from needing you. There wasn't a ceremony. Nobody handed you a certificate. One day you were just a parent, and the next day you were a memory that they had visited occasionally. We don't need to grow old and die in the museum of expectations. The museum will always stay the same. But to be honest, our reality changed. You thought love worked like a math equation. You believed if you gave enough love, enough sacrifice, enough effort, enough years, you would get closeness in return without spending every day pursuing them. One of the strangest feelings in the world is to have love with nowhere obvious to put it. Sometimes life feels like a waiting room, not knowing if your name will ever be called again. Love didn't disappear. It just sits there, uninvited, looking for a destination. I grew up hearing about the empty nest. I didn't know what that meant. Well, I know that the empty nest isn't really empty. It's full of memories, old sounds, old routines, full of ghosts of the ordinary days. The greatest grief isn't just losing a person. It's also losing the future version of life you thought you were going to have with them. One of the challenges of aging is accepting that purpose getting reassigned. The roles change, but love doesn't. You're allowed to be happy while this is still unresolved. A parent's heart doesn't retire when their children leave. It simply keeps loving something that is beyond their reach. I'm Judy. I'm 79, and I will never stop reaching.